Photographers, thank you for taking just a few more pictures. Screening tonight in competition. Dear journalists and friends, let me introduce you the talents on this stage. To your left, two men who proved their love for challenges by producing heaven knows what. And now... To his right, a starring role in Dustin Guy-Deffer's Person to Person. As Ray, he brings to Good Time is powerful and very bruised. Well, let's open up this conference, shall we? I mean, brotherhood, time, or the lack of it, freedom, or what we do with it, love, as sung by Iggy Pop, are some of the many themes Good Time explores.
I mean, yeah, I think the script went through a lot of different incarnations over like months and months and months, and I think, I mean, there definitely was a voice which they're writing in, which I really liked immediately, and it kind of, it's just something about their writing. It's just like, it's just very musical, and it kind of, it just comes out really easily. But also, I think with this, it's just what works for me is just time. It's just a really long, it's just spending a long time with the script and not trying to force anything. And I mean, we were talking about it for a year almost before we even started shooting anything. And then I went 2 months before we started shooting, just living around the corner from Josh in New York. And also because we were shooting essentially a guerrilla style shoot, I was so nervous about people finding out about the shoot and then paparazzi being there, and then it just destroys the whole illusion of it. So kind of what I was doing as a person was feeding into the character, where it's basically you're trying to disappear, you're trying to be a ghost in a crowd and stuff. And it was interesting, like, even with the makeup and the look and everything, we experimented with a few different things. And then there was a certain, we did these like kind of pock marks and stuff. And you put these pock marks on your skin and then just no one recognized you. I mean, we shot an entire movie on the street in New York and not a single person even took a cell phone picture. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, we were shooting stuff on the subway, stealing shots. And my face is right in front of someone's face, and there's a 35mm camera right next to me, and still, like, no one at all. At rush hour.
I was distracting them.
Josh was directing me through text message, so I was just pretending that the camera wasn't pointed at me. But yeah, it was. But yeah, that's kind of. I think it's just time, just kind of letting it build inside you. I think.
I remember when we walked. Just to jump in quickly, I remember when we went out to Long Island. And we went out to Long Island, and we hung out with my buddy, and he gave us that walking tour of his recently deceased brother, and we just kind of became obsessed with characters and sitting down with the Fortune Society in New York, and then going to a friend of ours was the warden of. Sorry, buddy, she's not the warden. Ralim Moses we had a lot of access to the Manhattan jail. Manhattan jails, or which are basically psych centers, and I don't know. It was for me when watching Rob develop his character was as informative as I'm sure for him.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I keep shut up. I'm just gonna turn this off.
It's interesting because in around like 2010, I was gonna be. Ronnie and I were working on a character that was similar. He had certain inabilities to express himself, and he had this voice, and we were just kind of, I was mining my own feelings and emotions for who he was. And then as the years went on, I gained weight, I put on muscle for another role, and then it just that project kept getting pushed. And then for this, we did a test where it was like I was in character talking to some lawyers, and these were all ways of rehearsing other actors. So I would put myself in the position and see how they would react. But I saw myself on the test, and I was like, wow, I'm a big guy. I was surprised by that, and I took that and I added that to the character who is if you take all of these kind of he to do is what he wants to do. And then you add this layer of physicality to it, it becomes a little bit scary that he could hurt. Like when he said, "Hey, standing next to me, being strong," you know, that's a real thing. And that becomes a part of Nick's mentality. And really, it wasn't spending time with people like that. It was just trying to be true to who the character was, you know. And if I felt something as myself, I would block it off because Nick wouldn't feel that. You know, he wouldn't know that that feeling existed. And I would kind of put a wall up and all the emotions would hit the wall and maybe one would sneak through and there was a certain vocabulary that he had to have that you couldn't say. So somebody would ask me a question and it would kind of have this delay and then come back. And I was just being him. And it was a special process. And I remember when we would write, Josh said, okay, send Rob, he said to Rob, send Benny a letter from jail. And then I responded in character. And we email correspondence over like months where he would email me and it was a letter. And then I would, grandmother found it and we just kind of, and then we would share that. And then Ronnie would read, Ronnie and Josh were both on these emails and they were seeing what we were saying to each other. But it was completely just, nothing existed for the script, but it was going to inform decisions that were made later. But it helped us both develop this strange relationship between the two of us. We didn't quite know each other, but then at the same time he was reaching out to me, and nobody reaches out to Nick, and it was strange because that makes him uncomfortable. But
what about you, Talia? How did they reach out to you, and how did you process this new experience in your life?
Actually, I'm sorry. So this process that I went through to become the character, it was me. Like the character was so much that we were so similar. So it wasn't really hard for me to try to play the role because I go through a lot that the character goes through. A grandmother, that I live with my grandmother, or that her house is messy. It's like little simple things that help you like get to where you gotta get, because you have to make sure you have those experiences to help develop the process. So I felt like everything was just easier for me because it was like I'm so similar. What do I really have to do but just be myself?
It's always the most calm person on set.
But I will say it's not easy to play yourself because you can't be self-conscious, because if you're self-conscious, then yourself doesn't kind of exist. You know, you have to be willing to put yourself up there without that, and that's pretty beautiful.
Question here.
Please, I'm eager to hear the music while I was running on the street during the night. Wow. Thanks very much.
One of Tricks Point Never is somebody who our cinematographer Sean Price Williams introduced me 2 years ago, and it's cinematic music. It's music for movies that don't exist. Well, you know, to be blunt. And Daniel's Lopatin is his real name. When we linked up with him and first started just talking about movies, turns out he's you know a tape head as he'll call it, not a cinephile. You know we linked almost immediately on on an ethical and intellectual level, and in terms of approaching music, and we were very clear about what we wanted. We said we wanted something, embedded within the emotions of the movie, and we drew a lot of maps that kind of showed you the terrain of what the film looked like, and then we would kind of develop the score together. And it was a very, very long, arduous process. And in his studio, I remember Sibo and I were, we were there, 9 weeks every day, and at one point,
Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
All the Jewish holidays.
Yeah. At one point, I had I'm not a music. I wish. I mean, I would give it all up to be a musical person. I'm totally musically inept. I can't sing for anything, and but I sometimes would be kind of frustrated in that I would communicate in my own weird way what I wanted something to sound like. And a lot of the times Dan was right there with me, but sometimes he's like, you play it. So then he would just let me touch his keyboard or his piano, his weighted keyboard. And it was we call it getting micro. And we got very micro on the score. I mean, it's
And the score became another character. You know, it became, and I think it's for every movie we do, the music can't just kind of be slapped on top and pull up the images that you're seeing to the level of the music. You know, they need to work together, and then once they're together, they can't be pulled apart because they become a new thing. And if the music is laying on top of the image and isn't interwoven together, then it's not going to work. They need to be a new animal.
And then after that 9 weeks, there's also it's more than a cherry on top. It's the Iggy Pop kind of collaboration.
Yeah, where it was just so beautiful to hear his response, and he was able to watch and then portray the movie through both perspectives at the same time of the brother Connie and also through Nick, and that's the movie.
Well, I mean, he wrote that song based on his
reaction to the
interpretation,
movie.
of the movie.
Daniel OPN wrote the music, and then his Warp and his manager, they reached out to Iggy. He's like, send me the song, send me the movie, I'll check it out. And I never met him. I virtually met him. I was in a studio and I listened to him, and he's like, yeah, I have some bits of music that I wrote, where I'm gonna sing, and then I have a bunch of spoken word stuff. And when he went into that spoken word, I mean, he's a poet. He's one of the great American artists, and he's like the greatest. I think we make termite art. I think that we are interested in making movies that exist for people to kind of consume, and it gets into you, and it whittles its way through your kind of core. And I think Iggy is the godfather of that. And when he got involved, I mean, it's like getting into the Cannes Film Festival. Honestly, it was.
And just to touch on that moment, I was taking care of my son, who's a year and 5 months, or then he was like probably a year and 2 months, who knows? But Josh FaceTimes me and puts me in, like, he's like, okay, here, listen, and he just put me in the middle of the room, and I'm just kind of listening, holding my son, trying to like experience that, and that was an incredible experience on its own. And then I virtually met Iggy through the speakers and then through the FaceTime.
In short, Warp Records is putting out the soundtrack in America. I don't know if they have and in England, I think, but I'm sure. Oh yeah, so I mean, I don't know music law. Sorry, I'm sure it'll be available. You could download it. I'm very sure. I don't want to encourage that, but
What?
The film ends with love, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks to him, The Pure and the Damned. It's a wonderful, wonderful song.
The team, it's a great movie. It's a movie very organic, especially thanks to the photography. So, what was the artistic direction with it? Thank you.
Tolvlestad from Norwegian newspaper Dagbladet. Congratulations on a hugely enjoyable movie. I have a question for Robert Pattinson. To your character, is it liberating to play such a character? And are there traits in him that you can personally identify with?
Time for words and the press conference. If you don't mind, please, Gagne, who makes a feature film debut here as Crystal. She's what Josh and Benny like to call a sudden star, and she certainly was in the film. I mean, how challenging, how organic was the writing process, and why call it, honestly, Good Time?
Well, to be frank, Good Time was just the name of the project when we started it, and we could never find a better title. But yeah, our process, me and Ronnie, we have a very complicated one, a very, would you say, aggressive? Our process is aggressive.
I mean, it just gets more and more twisted with each project.
But it's the characters. The film is all of our movies are always born out of characters, and with this film specifically, in Heaven Knows What, the lead actress, she's wonderful, but she could also pull from an entire life of her character. Rob specifically could not, pull from an entire life of this character. So, what we ended up doing for all of the characters really involved was do detailed biographies, starting with minute one at birth and ending with minute one of the film. And when you become that obsessive with, what someone did when they were 13 years old to their uncle, or when they were 20 when they were stealing cars from their uncle's dealership, or to their grandmother, or what happened to their father, these things end up bleeding into the film in a way that is a little bit obsessive and entirely very present. Like this movie and all the movies we make, we're obsessed with the now, and this one happens to be in the space of like metaphysicality of crime. I think crime is like the greatest dagger in existentialism. I don't know. So it was really with Ronnie and Benny and Buddy, who was keeping journals while he was in prison. I mean, it really was an organic process, long but organic. It takes a long time to grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, your turn and your questions.
And I just wanted to ask you, what drew you to this project in the first place, and where you'd like your career to go from here on the basis of this success?
What drew me to? I mean, I saw a still from Heaven Knows What on IndieWire, and it was I think it's on the poster. It's like the photo of Ariel, and I don't know what it was about it. I was just like, I know I want to work with these guys, and then just did a meeting, and I saw the trailer of Heaven Knows What afterwards, and I was just like, I knew, and you have to kind of, it's so rare that you get those feelings, and then so you just kind of chased it down to the end.
For the record, you should point out that you actually saw the movie.
I did see the movie.
Because there are people who are like, I saw the trailer, it was great.
He was in after just the poster.
And it was that openness that was so amazing to us, that he was willing to just say like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. And he meant it. And we took him up on that for sure.
It was also something as well, like I was thinking about this yesterday, like a lot of their casting seems like sort of street casting. And I just always want to look like I've been street cast. And so I was like, maybe if I go in their movie, then I'll look like I've been street cast and try and trick everybody.
Yeah, you were telling me that story about when you would go into auditions with your Denver accent, because you just did not want anyone to think that you were British born.
I would do an impression.
No offense
I
to
would
the
have
British.
another character to go into an audition to play a different character.
It was amazing. While filming, we would just be able to walk into supermarkets and walk online. And nobody had any idea what we were doing.
My favorite moment was when we went up to Yonkers in character. You were in character, and we just hung out in Brett's garage for that long time, and you were.
Oh yeah,
and Rob got a taste of what it's like to have Nick as a brother, and how people
it was
organically push him out, and
it was stuff like that where that was like an 8-hour conversation too, where we were just kind of hanging out with these guys, and I was just standing next to Rob as the character, and I was uncomfortable because I didn't know who any of these people were. Were they talking to me? And then as the conversation was moving on and moving forward, the circle kind of closed in and pushed me out. And then so Rob's now there talking, trying to include me in the conversation, and it was little things like that we would do to push, to give the history for.
How about the first thing we ever filmed at the car wash?
Oh, that's right. The camera tests.
They went.
Which ended up being like a short film. Yeah.
And worked at a car wash.
Yeah.
Kind of like without permission.
Well, I remember walking up to the car wash with Rob, and the people are screaming, and it's like, no, don't come in. And this is for the camera test. And I'm like, no, don't worry, it'll be fine. And I walk up to the guys at the thing, and they started asking us questions, and I just was full on the character, Nick. And it just threw them through such a loop that they just said, okay, go. What do you want?
So, or when we went to jail together. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to hijack that. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've basically got the next year sort of planned out. I'm going to work with Claire Denis after this, and then I mean, literally, I'm just so happy with seeing the people I'm working with, and it's crazy. I'm going to do Claire Denis. I think I'm doing a movie with Antonio Campos at the end of the year. I think another thing with David Michaud, and then I think this thing with Ciro Guerra, who did Embrace of the Serpent. I shouldn't, maybe cancel that.
Too late, man.
Too late. Question here.
From China, question for the directors. Can you talk about the fantastic and overwhelming music in the film?
From the immediately when we knew we wanted to dive into the world of pulp, you know, and do something in that tradition, something that was truly dangerous. For some reason, we immediately wanted to align ourselves with 35 millimeter because it's dangerous.
235.
235, and we wanted scope. We wanted, this is, you know, that we're gonna go genre. We're gonna do genre, you know, and we wanted to, you know, experiment with that very much. So and I mean 35. I mean, specifically when they're inside the ride. I mean, we went back and forth with Technicolor, always like. I didn't want to put one light on, and I constantly, our gaffer was like, when the movie got into the festival, he sent me a picture of a reading on set, a light meter reading. It was like 0.2, and he was like, yeah, good to go, you know, like, but we took risks. I mean, you can ask any of the producers involved. It was, you know, we took a lot of risks visually, and you know, it was a very aggressive schedule. It was very difficult. We did a lot of 18-hour days, and I think that energy bleeds into the work. And you know, Sean is, you know, one of the most poetic camera operators. You know, he can't help but bring that to a project and his energy as well. And
I always like, there's the lighting, because we were shooting on film. It kind of forced us to. We had to light, and then if we're going to light, it's. A lot of times before we were obsessed with motivated lighting. You know, where is it coming from? But this we really. Just went wild. Like, okay, can we put an orange light here? And it's like, yeah, let's do that. And then we were just completely open to flooding it with color that didn't necessarily make sense for where it was coming from or how it was getting in through the roof of the ride, but it just felt right. And it was amazing to have that push. And it's like, why are we doing this? It was always the question that Sean
always asks. You want to shoot? Okay, this next setup Steadicam. He goes. Just explain to me why. I don't care if it's right. Just explain to me why you want.
And the subtle difference between a Steadicam and a dolly. It's like, what's the mindset there? And so,
right. Sean always makes you defend your decisions, which is
arguing is important.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you're mentioning energy coming from the music, energy coming from the photography, but there's really raw energy coming from someone who hasn't talked yet. I'm talking about Buddy as Ray.
Buddy.
I mean, come on. And frankly, there's a line by the end of the movie where we say, well, I'm not trying to get real, I'm fucking real. I want to know what's your reality in Good Time.
You mean the line or just in general?
You. What is your reality, your character? What are you in this movie? You bring so much.
My character, he's just basically, he's a criminal. I mean, he really has the mindset where he just doesn't give up, you know? He really doesn't. He doesn't care.
We can curse in this.
Yeah, it's cool.
He doesn't give a fuck, all right? Like, he doesn't care. He feels free in his mind, you know? So he could be in a house, in an apartment, on the street, in jail, no matter where you're at, it's always in your head. You know, no one could break your spirit. And he lives life for the moment. So that's how I felt my character was, you know, kind of portrayed. And, you know, I kind of live like that. So, you know, I mean, I'm a criminal, ex-criminal. I'm trying to take all my criminal mindsets that caused me to do all the, you know, bad things, all the dirt I did in my life, and I'm trying to focus it and use it for positive. I want to continue acting. And 3 years ago, I was in a really bad place. And to think now I'm in Cannes, it's crazy.
I mean, I've seen you before you even were on camera and heaven knows what, you were acting. I saw you be many different, you had all those different aliases and you were always acting. You know, so you're a born actor, buddy, honestly. You're incredible.
I appreciate that.
It was every day when Buddy was there, it was always something, and we I think it was you were inspiring to everyone on set always because
there's a unique ability to say anything and have it sound like it was the exact right thing to say at that right moment.
Last question here.
Personally, thank you.
That's a good word.
I like that.
Shameless. Shameless. I mean, I think. I was thinking last night. He's kind of, in a lot of ways, quite an amoral character. But I think what sort of becomes interesting to play is like if you have a character who seemingly doesn't really care about anyone, who's suddenly had his back pushed up against the wall, and he's suddenly forced to care about something. It's kind of interesting to find. You know, he's completely unaware of really how he feels about things. Everything feels kind of new. But what do I feel that they relate to personally? I don't know. I mean, I kind of. Again, I feel like the character is sort of a conduit for like a lot of different people's energies. I mean, I feel like I was trying. It's like Josh, Benny, Ronnie, like a lot of the world as well, and kind of. And I felt because I'm so separate. Even like pretty much everyone here. Yeah, everyone here grew up in New York except me.
Not me either.
Oh, really? Oh,
I'm Maine.
And it's like so there's even that. You can't fake it whatsoever. So I was like, okay, I have to make that sort of a part of the character where you sort of basically have a part of yourself which is abandoned, and then like kind of fill it up with a lot of other people's energies and just try to, I don't know, somehow like focus it and then make it into something. But yeah, I don't know how much of it is really me, other than just being very manic a lot of the time.
Yes, yeah, no, that's what Josh and I we were like, okay, we need to tap into the manicness that he has, and that it's so beautiful.
But no one ever really sees that. That's that sort of private thing. It's kind of out of control mania.
That was the first thing that we wanted, you know.
Yeah.
When we first met with Rob.
So excited.
This guy is.
It's actually like,
hey,
I'm someone who's that's at a red light and they're just revving.
Just to send us a text and then to move forward that fast and that strong, it was like, okay, this is amazing.
Well, thank you very much for bringing Good Time. We'll be with you. Thank you so much. What a great film. What a great film.
I love the way you spoke about it.
Well, I really, I mean, I'm glad that you felt that I loved it.
It felt genuine.
Good. Okay. Well, I mean, I love it. I mean, I've story maybe. I love
Thank you very much.
It was wonderful. Wonderful. And I met Robert again in LA, and I said, okay, so I'll see you tonight anyway. And all right.
Yes, it's great.
Dans Mystery Train,